We're playing against a Yorion the Sky Nomad. I feel like Solitude Ephemerate is pretty good against most Yorion decks, and then we might draw a black card for Grief. So I think I'm going to keep this a little bit reluctantly. What do I think of it playing as Zaggoth Triome? I mean, its cycles is not like a great compliment for Zaggoth Triome because we're like a little light on lands in this deck, and like that card also like enters tapped, which is a big problem, and it doesn't tap for white, which is a problem too. And I know it lets you ending for 4, but I think that the downside of the upside of ending for 4 is less than the downside of Triome entering tapped and not tapping for white. So that's my opinion. Obviously, Zaggoth Triome has some upside, but I don't think it's worth including. Yeah, apparently Grief Ephemerate was in fact not pre-banned. News to me. So if they drew a land, I'm not going to draw Step Ephemerate. Yeah. I think. Yeah, I can. If they put Yorion in their hand, then I can draw Step Ephemerate next turn maybe. Or I can maybe end of turn Ephemerate. They didn't put Yorion in the hand. Ending's not a great draw. I think they have like Lightning Bolt here. Why else would they be pausing so much? Okay, I'm just gonna let this go. Like they don't have a spell in their hand. Their hand is Temple Garden Basic Forest. And so I want to save the Ephemerate for like Mulldrifter, like Reanimating Persist. We're not gonna get a card if we Ephemerate. They play the Basic Forest, not the Temple Garden. Abundant Growth. So now their Yorion is a lot stronger. There's Temple Garden, access to Yorion, mystery card. They decide to either play around a discard spell or hold up some mystery card here. But I gotta say, with my hand, I'm pretty happy they didn't Yorion in hand. Mulldrifter would be great. I'm gonna main phase the Mending with the upside of drawing Archon Persist. But yeah, there's the Mulldrifter. Let me discard Prismatic Ending, Basic Island, play the Strand, get a Fountain here. Talking about ending, being able to be used for 4th, maybe you want to ask. I brewed 4-color Lurrus Control. The 4th color is splashing for 2 endings. I don't usually think splashing 2 of a 1-mana spell is not that good. Like, you can make the mana work there. It's like a lot worse if you play Charm. It's probably not worth it though, I would say. Like, you can like, it's in Magic, we've been talking about this a lot today, I guess. In Magic, like, you can choose to have a really greedy mana base. Oh, wow. Can't Solitude this. You can choose to have a really greedy mana base and like understand that you're going to stumble sometimes and be okay with that and say, yeah, I'm going to stumble sometimes, but the power I'm getting is going to make up for this. Like, I'm getting a really high power level with this trade, and I'm going to be okay with stumbling sometimes because I'm going to win more because of how I built the deck. And I just don't think that this suggested brew of like, I'm a 4-color Lurrus control deck, and Lurrus is a lot of grinding. I've got Bring to Life, I've got Valky, I've got Prismatic Ending. I just have all the best cards, but my mana kind of sucks. I don't think that you have like a high enough payoff in power level to compensate for the mana inefficiencies. Yeah, Mulldrifter is like so surprisingly great. If Kaya's Guile? This might be Prismatic Ending for 5. Okay, we probably can't be too upset with this just because Kaya's Guile is such a premium card in the matchup. Let me put 1 Triumphant for the white. And that's another problem. It's like, when you splash a color, splashing a 1-mana spell is like the worst kind of spell you want to splash. Where 1-mana spells like need that mana immediately, but if you're splashing 3-mana, 2-mana spell, you just give yourself a turn. And if like your only white source is a Triumph, you can't play your white spell on turn 1 because you're only. Oh no, I meant to hardcast this. Oh my gosh, I meant to hardcast. I mean, no, it's not that big a deal. Actually, ended up working out better. Do you need to get the Archon in the yard? Maybe got a little bit of time. Maybe I should have exiled the growth, but I don't want to take too much damage. Yeah, with this splash, you have 2 endings. You can't cast ending on turn 1, which is you do want to cast it on turn 1 a lot of the time. It's not worth it, I think. Blinky, 2 months. Thank you so much. Yeah. Brainstorm. If Brainstorm was the same card, 1 mana instant, draw 2, put back 1, it would be very good at Modern. It would be very, very good. Ever tried to brew with Magdalene Spearing Leaf? I've tried. I haven't been super successful. Or successful at all. Would it be too good for Modern? Probably, yeah. It would be not as good, but the thing, Uro also sucks, like, to be in the format. And I don't use that strong word sucks very lightly at all. It's like, I've always like really disliked how the same Uro, the same single Uro card Uro, is so relevant from the moment you cast it the first time on every single turn for the rest of the game. It's like you're either going to get really good value because your opponent has to spend a card exiling it from the graveyard, and you get to just get a 2-for-1 when they do it. Or it is just going to be always the best thing to do with your mana when you can escape it and your opponent kills it, and then it's still in the graveyard looming, waiting to come back waiting to come back when you can reanimate it again. I really dislike Uro being a Magic card. It's a really poorly designed Magic card. It makes Magic like a lot less interesting. It makes deck building less interesting. It makes games less fun. And so, would Uro be banned today if it had been legal all the way up until MH2? Maybe not. But boy, like, does Uro like really make gameplay worse, and I don't miss it. Isn't the same argument for Kroxa? And it's very different with Kroxa. Like, Kroxa is much weaker than Uro. Kroxa is not always a 2-for-1. Kroxa, like gaining life and drawing cards and putting a land in play is so much stronger than making your opponent discard and maybe lose 3 life. Uro is just so much better than... It's like embarrassingly better than Kroxa. It's like... Attacks, blocks, concede. It's like it's so much better than Kroxa. It's embarrassing. It's like having a super successful sibling, even though like you're doing okay, you have like a fine job and things are going great, but your sibling is like a movie star. You know, that's like the dynamic of Uro and Kroxa. I'm trying to think if they have Rest in Peace. They probably do. They probably do. Play like 3 endings. I feel seen, yeah. Super villain, not movie star. Yeah, like a super duper successful sibling, and you're doing okay. You're like playable in Modern, and you just want your parents to be proud of you, but all they could talk about is Uro and just how freaking good Uro is. Yeah. You know, Uro has 3 abilities when it enters the battlefield. Do you think you're going to get errata to have a 3rd ability, Kroxa? You know, Uro puts a land into play. Maybe you could bounce one of your opponent's lands when you enter the battlefield. Do you think Mark Rosewater would put that on you? Maybe you should ask. Maybe you just ask. Just ask Mark if he'll let you bounce a land when you ETB Kroxa. You know, Uro always gains 3 life and always draws a card. I see that you only conditionally make your opponent lose 3 life. Do you think maybe you could do that, Kroxa? No, okay, that's fine. That's fine. Poor Kroxa. Mom, did you see that Uro got arrested? Uro was actually, you know, he was cheating the whole time. He was designed to be too powerful. He wasn't a balanced card. I'm balanced, Mom. I'm actually a balanced card. I see play in the modern format, and people like me. I really wish we could unban Uro. I actually think Uro would be fine in the modern format, son. Now that you have Solitude Endurance. Uro wasn't broken. Uro was just ahead of his time. Uro was just ahead of his time. And now Solitude Endurance, if they were legal, Uro would not be banned. And the mom just still can't shut up about Uro at all. Poor Crooksa. Surely Uro would be fine now. Yeah. But we also have an Uro emote that we never get to use again, so maybe we should unban him. Uro had such a good emote. Uro's emote was so good. When are you gonna get an emote, Crooksa? You think you might get an emote sometime? On Aspiring Spikes channel? I'm gonna draw a card, I think, immediately here. Mending? Ending, not mending, unfortunately. Oh, sorry, I have a... I don't know why I thought I had Persist in my hand. I need to draw Persist. Vote to change Uro emote to Crooksa. Can maybe get it done. Madison, who did the Uro emote, is like about to have a baby. So we'll probably have to wait a while. You know, I think it was actually Field of the Dead and Mystic Sanctuary that made Uro broken. Yeah, it was actually those cards the whole time. So the rest of you for 3 months, appreciate you. Friendship into with Barty Pyro, now Esper Mentor is my new best friend. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Just recolor it? Just make the Uro face red? What color is it, Crooksa? Yeah, maybe the baby will make the Crooksa emote. Yeah, it was fetch. It's honestly the real answer is fetch lands. So Crooksa's face is like a black hole with ash coming out of it. It's pretty cool, Crooksa. Not gonna lie. Although maybe this is just like emo Crooksa because Uro's the cool, popular brother, and Crooksa's just kind of going through a phase. Maybe mom will notice me if I have a black hole for a face and have ash coming out of me. Yeah, let's try to high roll with Mending a little bit. Okay. Do I discard both Archons? Feels really risky. Sometimes you gotta risky for the bisky, you know what I mean? I think living in his position in meta, maybe a little underplayed, but there's a lot of like hate for it at the moment. But also like living in like, to be honest, in modern is usually like as popular as like it kind of spins on the axis like how has Nassif been playing living in lately? If so, it's like usually pretty popular. Nassif and Sodak. For this year's Halloween stream, can I go as emo ever? I might have to because my ship here in time. I might have to. I have 3 mana up. Alright, let's just I will concede to Kai's Guile. It is what it is. It is. You think I wouldn't concede to Kai's Guile? Game 3. I think I'm gonna play the 4th Grief on the play. If their main hate is Kaya's Guile, the discard spells are and Teferi a bit better. Have I seen that Stone Moon deck that's been floating around? I haven't, no. I have not seen it. I'm gonna use the restroom real quick. Squadron Archon would be pretty cool. I'm on board. No blue mana. Alright, send this Mending and Archon. I'm gonna keep this, and I don't know if we put back either Grief or Solitude. Let's put back the Solitude. Why Persist and non-legend over Gorya's Vengeance and Legend? Well, you have access to Unmarked Grave, which can search up a non-legendary creature and put it in the graveyard, right? And that is really powerful. Enabler for the archetype, but that doesn't work with Gorya's Vengeance. That is a good question to all the people who have been playing Reanimator and cutting Unmarked Grave. Maybe consider playing Gorya's Vengeance instead. What do you think about decks like Belcher being viable in the format? I think they've always been part of Modern's identity, and they're like usually pretty easy to beat if you respect them and understand the matchup, and that they do a good job policing the metagame to some extent and stopping it from just being mid-range battles. So generally a fan, I guess. All right, let's do this to play around. Graveyard Hate of some kind. All right, their hand sucks. But yeah, people have like this kind of attitude of like, I like linear combo decks like Belcher are unfun and shouldn't exist. And I think that the nice thing about Magic is that there's a lot of different people who play it, and everybody has a different idea about what's fun, and different archetypes attract different people. There's nothing wrong with liking an archetype, and it's okay that it's okay if you dislike playing against an archetype, but ultimately I think you should just mostly not have something be in the format if it's unbalanced and or like particularly egregious. Yeah, even mono. Yeah, every time I say this spiel, there's always like, even boggles, Spike. Even boggles. Oh, yeah, I seen this deck. I don't know why I thought you said stone, so I thought it was like a Stone Rain deck too. Yeah, this deck did well recently in a tournament. I can't remember which tournament though. I'm not like, I don't love that deck to be honest, but I think it's interesting. Let's go. Let's go. Good to get my whitelisted status back. Doing good, Frankie. How you doing? Yeah, it seems like the premium was in fact renewed. Could Mulldrifter be rather than Spyro? Well, I mean, double red is much harder than blue double colorless. Mulldrifter is also better with Ephemerate. But there might be something to your point. Alright, gonna keep this. What are the best sideboard cards against Esper Reanimator? Surgical Extraction is the best one, I think. Yeah, tier 0 Grief Ephemerate on turn 1. Yeah, we are 1-0. The record thing is broken. Yeah, Leyline of Voids is good too, but it does get Teferi Time Raveler. Panza. Alright, so I'll take these 1-drops. And then we'll decide between Wrenn and 6 and Blood Moon for next turn, but it's probably going to be the Blood Moon. Good to see someone playing Panza. I feel like Panza's a little underplayed. Clothis? Oh no. Okay, well I feel like I have to take the Blood Moon here. We can attack the Wrenn and 6, but Clothis is, of course, being Graveyard Hate's really good against us. We've got Prismatic Endings and Teferis for Clothis. Stony Silence for Belcher and Hammer. It's actually mostly for decks that play artifact-based Graveyard Hate, like Jund Saga plays like a ton of Nihil Spell Bombs, plays like 3, and can search for them with Urza Saga, which ends up being a big headache. But if you just play Stony Silence, then this can answer all the artifact-based graveyard hate for the rest of the game. And Stony Silence is good against Tron, and it's good against Belcher and Hammer. You can bring it is more versatile than just that. Okay, so we can persist Mulldrifter next turn. Corey's playing this deck right now. Okay, so they did find Blood Moon. I did choose for Plains over Swamp there, so I could like potentially Prismatic Ending a Blood Moon or Teferi instead, but we maybe get a little punished here by choosing this instead. Oh, I was supposed to grief the Clothis though. That was a big mistake. Yeah, I was definitely supposed to grief Clothis there. Okay, I guess I still have the chance to. Discard Arbor Elf, Basic Forest. Oh, awesome. So now do I grief the Clothis? I guess so. I guess so. And I'm fine with this trade too. I maybe should have offered it first. What does Leyline come against? Graveyard. They're a decent number of decks you want Leyline for. The Mirror Match, Living End, are like the biggest two. Okay, so my opponent has Lightning Bolt in their hand. I kind of am fine waiting maybe a turn here. On the okay, that's fine. On the Persist, because if we just draw Unmarked Grave, then I'd be happy to have waited. I feel like we've got time in game one with no graveyard hate. If this were a sideboard game, I might prioritize reanimating this. If I draw a land off Teferi too, I can also consider immediately persisting. Okay, and with second persist, it's definitely way easier too. Why didn't you get evoked? I think you're confused. We already had a grief in play, and then we evoked one. So we don't know any card in their hand. No, are you kidding me? Come on! No! Oh, come on. Ooze? No, bruh, I can't believe it. The top deck. I don't know if we could get out of this. They could have put me to 4 here. We'll see what we draw. If we draw a Prismatic Ending. Okay. Alright, so we do want the 4th Prismatic Ending. I guess I want these pushes. I don't really want the Griefs. I'll play the 4th Teferi. Teferi is usually pretty good against Bonza. Maybe I should cut the 4th Ephemerate. I bet Serra's Emissary is fine too. But I feel like Ephemerate Solitude is really strong. I'll play 1 Thoughtseize over the 4th Ephemerate. Fasting for the 8 months. Oh, Solitude was really good top deck there too. Or did we draw the 5th land? If we had 5 lands, Solitude was like a good draw. You seem good there. I mean, it's good when you grief Ephemerate it, but like with all of their graveyard hate being like Scavenging Ooze, Clothis, in theory, I guess, and maybe if they're playing like Relic and stuff too, it could be a problem. But like I feel like Prismatic Ending into Teferi is how we want to, and creature removal is how we want to answer these cards rather than grief. Celsius good. Oh, you're obviously aggressive, gonna be dead. We have a bunch of cards that are just brutal if they resolve. I'm playing 1. I don't know. Like, I haven't tested this matchup that much. There's a lot of different ways you could approach it. Well, look at this. Let's go to 5, I think. You guys want to go to 5? This hand kind of sucks. I guess this hand's good against Blood Moon. Is that enough of a reason to keep it? Maybe. I think I've talked myself into it. Definitely mull on 7. Utopia Sprawl is so good. I haven't seen Dune yet. I might see it today. We'll see. We'll see. I want to see it. I just haven't had the time. I also really... I need to finish Sekiro. I'm at the end of it. I haven't been able to play all week. I've been really busy. Why didn't I fetch the Thin? I wanted to kind of incentivize my opponent to get the... to play Blood Moon, I think, a little bit. But also, you play around Pillage there, a land destruction spell, by not fetching immediately. Yikes. Could be really tough. Yeah, you play around a land destruction there by not fetching, and I wasn't 100% sure that I was going to fetch land, like which land there. Bloodbraid into Klothys. Shocking Stomping Ground too. To play Arbroath? I guess we're going to try to high roll. Archon and Persist. We kept the 4-land hand too, and we drew almost all lands. Are we dead next turn? This is 6, 7, 10, 13 exactly. Did I miscount? 5, 10, 11. Yeah, so if they don't have any extra burn, I can go Unmarked Grave for Serra's Emissary and survive. This deals damage, right? Not life loss? Yep, damage. They shocked in Stomping Ground. We also lose to Blood Moon because we can't play both next turn. Although we could potentially draw. Okay, they have extra damage. Damn it. Okay. I yield. Is Ponza good again? You probably play Ren in 6-2. Okay, easy keep. Okay, so I can Solitude on turn 1 to... Or Grief on turn 1, pitch Rites to play around discard spells. I think that's good. I haven't... I know Jacob's been playing a lot of like Blue Moon stuff. I haven't seen most recent lists. Yeah, I'm just playing some Modern in between rounds while my challenge opponent tanks super hard. Oh, cool. I guess Harbinger's kind of annoying. Is Trickster more annoying though? Probably not. Probably is the Harbinger. Played you just get Murktide deck. You played a while ago with no DRC or Ragavan. Played Teferi and Snap. I was curious if it about that list at all. I mean, I played that version too. Like, just like you cut DRC and Ragavan to be better against creature removal. Just have Murktide. I've even played that version more than I've played the more creature heavy version. But I was playing that a lot, like more towards the beginning of MH2. Totally fine deck. I'm not sure that I feel like, but also like I guess I would say I don't necessarily believe that that's a great place to be at the moment, since there are a lot of Solitudes at the moment. So being all in on Murktide Regent like that is I don't think a good place to be, because there's just so many Solitudes. I think just get Murktide is still top deck. I think it's still a really good choice, but yeah, I think that like right now with how many Solitudes there are, just choosing to play any Murktide deck is probably not the play. So I'm going to ending this. I also think Merfolk is underplayed too. I've been saying this for a while. I feel like Merfolk is a good deck that doesn't see enough play. You can scroll back in the VOD, Phyrexia. I also wouldn't like really recommend the list to you, to be honest. What do they have here? Are they going to just animate Mutavault? Okay, I can't Solitude it because of the Kihira. Trying to think if there's any reason to shock for Solitude. I don't really see why I would. Because as long as the Kihira is in play, I don't really see it being good. Merfolk or Elves? I think Merfolk is like very, very underrated. I don't know that I feel the same way about Elves. I don't feel the same way about Elves. Alright, so I want Stony Silence because I imagine their Graveyard Hate is artifact based. And then I'm going to cut the Griefs. And then we'll cut the 4th Archon and the 4th Ephemerate. Any thoughts on whether Goblin Lackey be okay in Modern? I mean, I don't usually like the idea. I mean, there's a big difference between okay and Modern. Like, if you know, and a good card for Modern. You know, a good card that's making the format better. Like, Goblin Lackey leads to, like, really uninteractive non-games where you just play Lackey on one and you're just dead when it hits you. And, like, you can make the same argument for Ragavan. Goblin Lackey is more swingy, but also Ragavan's not a good card for Modern either. Ragavan is also a bad card for Modern. Thoughts on Scion and Draco? I like Scion. I like that it dodges Bolt and Prismatic Ending. Alright, let's play Flooded Strand to play around Spreading Seas. I thought for sure I was about to get Shadow of Doubted. Do you think Murktide will go back to being better in Modern? Yeah, for sure. Like, Murktide's a really, really strong card, and it is definitely the case that Modern players can be a little short-sighted, and when the metagame shifts and Solitude's really, really strong, and they're like, I can't ever beat Solitude, they can start to doom a bit about it. But, like, Modern is a very, very cyclical format. Things are always shifting in and out of favor, and I don't expect this, like, uptick in Solitude to one, be any different than that, and two, Blue-White Control is already on the decline. Blue-White Control is absolutely already on the decline. In fact, I would even, like, I expect, like, this weekend, my prediction for this weekend is that Blue-White Control is still, like, has some success in the tournaments this weekend, but I don't predict that it's going to be the best deck, and I think we're going to see a lot less of it this weekend, and then probably, like, even less of it next weekend, because that's just the way she goes. Okay, I like that. Just, like, make them use a counterspell here. What's my point waiting for? They have counterspells. They got counterspells. Midrange coming back. Midrange is not only coming back, like, the midrange, there's more midrange decks in Modern now than there's ever been. There are more midrange decks in Modern right now than there's ever been in the entire history of the format. You'll resolve. Archon of Cruelty, you're going to resolve. Maybe I've gone for Serra's Emissary. I'm not sure exactly what else they have to it, though. They might have Petty Theft, right? Echoing Truth, but that does mean they lose their Kira. Do you like the quick shifts in the meta? I do, yeah. It's obviously the case that I'm, like, as someone who is making content and always wants to make new decks and always is trying to try new things, and that's how I like to engage with the game. I'm very biased towards a metagame that shifts a lot. Like, at least that's what I enjoy. More so than, like, what other people enjoy, I feel. But that's okay, right? And we talk about this a lot today. One of the best things about Magic is that there's a ton of different ways to engage with the game, and everybody likes different things about it. Alright, the last cards are Force Blue card, but I have Rites in the yard, so they need draw like Graveyard Hate right now. Why is there so much mid range? Just threats and elements stuff for me being Chong. No, I wouldn't say. I wouldn't say so. Like it's. I mean, partially like a lot of the cards are MH2 cards because I mean, like it or dislike it, Modern is now a format that is very, very heavily defined by Modern Horizons 2. That just is. That's just true. It's going to be true until, you know, the heat death of the universe, maybe, or until Modern Horizons 3, more likely. But the reason there's a lot of mid-range decks right now are like natural metagame shifts, and in fact, I feel very healthy metagame shifts, where we had an environment where the like maybe not Hammer Time, but like Hammer Time, Rhinos, very popular decks, and Blue-White Control kind of emerges to be the best deck, and is very good against both of those. And then there's a lot of like good mid-range piles that are good against the Blue-White Control deck. This is just kind of like a very natural and common metagame evolution. This kind of stuff happens in every format, and it is going to continue to evolve. And the modern meta is not going to look like it looks like right now forever. It's going to resemble it. There's going to be obviously some similarities, but it's always going to be evolving. And in fact, like I feel like this like post Modern Horizons 2 metagame has been an amazing teaching example if you've like really been following it about how almost every strategy in Modern comes back around eventually, you know, and is maybe not always going to be viable, and it may look really different with a lot of new cards, but old cards come back when you really don't expect them. Like I have Mulldrifter in my deck right now, and you know, you can't control when things change, but things do change in Modern. Things come around. Boggles is kind of the funny example where for the last, like, Boggles will be good for some tournaments, but people keep thinking, man, I think Boggles is great right now, just getting crushed. Just getting absolutely crushed. Ragavan is a really poorly designed Magic card. Should not have seen play as is. Does that mean it should be banned? I don't really think so. I think, in fact, like, right now in the Modern metagame, Ragavan decks are maybe at an all-time low post-Modern Horizons 2. His hand's cracked. Yeah, I would maybe describe Ragavan decks as being like as bad as they've ever been in a post MH2 metagame. They're still viable for sure, but they're really not that popular. So I don't know what Ragavan's future is going to be in the long run in Modern. But I do think that the card is, you know, a bad design. But it's you know, the also kind of reality is Modern is a format a format of design mistakes to some extent. There's a lot of cards in Modern that are legal that probably shouldn't have been printed as is. Do you think Infect has a chance to become a meta player, not including mono white Infects? Well, that's the thing, right? It's like, I don't know why you would want to register Infect, traditional Infect, when you could register Hammer Time. Hammer Time is a very similar deck, and it kind of does what Infect does, but better. So, I mean, I would like for Infect to be good, a lot would have to change. And also, like, they also errated Plague Engineer to be able to name Phyrexian and kill every Infect creature. So, it's like, if Infect is ever popular, Plague Engineer is, like, such a nightmare for them to deal with. Are the new Evoke Elementals safe? Yeah, I honestly think, like, all of the Evoke Elementals are excellent designs, and they are more so, like, good balancing cards for the format rather than, like, dangerous design space, in my opinion, where all of the Evoke Elementals are answers, and they answer different archetypes, and you can grind with them in, like, specifically the Elementals deck with Ephemerate, but I would say that, like, the fact that most of them are reactive, Grief being the only exception, like, the rest of them are reactive cards that are not good against every strategy. In fact, most of them are only good against a narrow subset of strategies, with, I guess, like, the big exceptions being Solitude and Grief. I don't really anticipate them being banned anytime soon. Solitude is, like, definitely hits a wider net than, like, Fury and Endurance and Subtlety. Subtlety is the worst one. Yeah, I think that they're really dual side. What does Subtlety answer? It's good against Titan and Tron. It's really just good against those decks. And you can play it in like Living End or Rhinos, but it's not like great there. Leave Subtlety alone. I don't know. It's kind of like Subtlety is also... Subtlety would be a good card by itself, but like Kroxa, it just always has to be compared to its siblings, the other elementals. It's pretty good. Browser, thank you for the gifted sub. That's nice of you. Appreciate you, buddy. How much for a deck tech of a tier 0? Sideboard is for LGS. Of a tier 0. $10 is how much. Tier 0 or tier 3. It's all $10. Dude, my opponent is losing to Reanimator with Sanctifier and Vec in their hand. They had to have drawn this last turn, though. That's gotta feel bad. I'm ephemerating now to get their last card out of their hand. That's gotta feel awful to lose to Reanimator game 1 with Sanctifier and Vec in your hand. So if they have top decked Reflector Mage, like they could maybe get out of this. What's the Plague Engineer errata? Oh, sorry. So the errata is not on Plague Engineer. The errata is on the Infect creatures. Like, wait, did they really draw it? They drew Recruiter. And they're going to get Image, but then I can Persist my Archon. But yeah, they could maybe get some stuff going here. They can maybe draw, like, Meddling Mage off Image or something. It'd be pretty sick. So the errata is... all of the Phyrexian creatures, Inkmoth, Nexus, Glistener Elf, Blighted Agent, and some others, they have been errated to have the creature type Phyrexian. So now, against Infect, if you have Plague Engineer, you can name Phyrexian, and it kills all of the Infect creatures. And they don't really have a window where they can, like, do anything about it. Not Inkmoth? Yes, Inkmoth. Right? I'm like 99% sure Inkmoth is also Phyrexian. I might be getting Mandela'd again, so I don't know. I guess they sack the Recruiter, and if I don't draw a white, maybe I should just main phase the Solitude here. When does the errata happen? I don't know. It was really weird. It was just like nobody wanted this. You know what I mean? This wasn't something that anybody wanted. It's nice that they don't get to gain the 6. Can you post the link in the chat? I can't copy paste from here. And they said the Archon. They copied to a Phantasmal Image. Hey Timu. Yeah, but can you imagine? We've talked about this a lot of times, but can you imagine? It's COVID has been solved. Albert Einstein got resurrected and he cured COVID in like 2 weeks, and everybody's really proud of him. And you're back at FNM. And you're finally undusting your Glistener Elf Infect deck. You're really, really excited. You get to play your favorite deck at FNM for the first time in 10 years. And then your opponent, they got another Image. Jeez, I can't believe they're pulling out of this. This is awesome. Your opponent sits down and they play a Plague Engineer on turn 2. And they name Phyrexian, and you're like, okay, and they're like, your creature dies, and you're like, oh no, this isn't a Phyrexian, this is an elf, and then you're like, no, Wizards actually errated your Glistener Elf to be a Phyrexian, and you go, okay, after you look it up on Gather, and then you cast Blighted Agent, and then they're like, okay, no, that's also a Phyrexian. That one's also a Phyrexian, and you're like, what? That can't be true. Can you imagine? It's just like, I can't imagine being in that situation. But also we have 2 Archons in play and we're crushing here. Okay. So tier 0 deck, huh? So this is Saga Blade, but with the Thopter Foundry combo and Counterspell and Serum Visions. Okay, I don't like the Serum Visions at all. Hold on, let me sideboard real quick. Maybe Grief is better than Teferi. I kind of like Grief. Maybe just like have a quick hand where Grief is Disruption. Okay. And you're playing Charm too. What is this layout? This is kind of confusing to me. Okay, but you need to play 4 portable holes over 4 prismatic endings. Easy. The artifact synergies make it much stronger in this deck. I think that like you're doing a little too much too, where you're playing Hex Parasite for Saga as a value card, which is a fine option, but it makes your deck a little like more vulnerable to interaction. And you're playing the Thopter Foundry Sword combo, where you have 3 Foundries to draw and Stoneforge to find your Sword of the Meek. But your deck's a little weaker overall, and you're more soft to interaction. And you're playing Serum Visions; it's just a little weaker overall, and you're softer to interaction. You need to play 4 portable hole. I don't know. I would also only play 1 Springleaf Drum. I don't think I'd ever play a second Springleaf Drum. You also need to play a Nettle Cyst. Nettle Cyst is way better than Sword of Feast and Famine. Nettle Cyst is really good in the deck. I would also play. You also need to play a. You need to play a Shadow Spear. Shadow Spear is really important too. And then like I've been liking Cauldron plus Shadow Spear, where you have access to a life linking equipment, and access to a big equipment, and you don't need to have the Batter Skull. You play Cauldron and Shadow Spear, so play the Shadow Spear over the drum. And then Counterspell in your Urza Saga basic plains deck is... It's castable, but Archmage's Charm definitely isn't. So I would probably be playing like 0 Archmage's Charms. Yeah, Archmage's Charm seems like way too ambitious in your basic plains Urza Saga deck. And I guess those are my thoughts. Wait, is this only 1 Urza? You need to play like 3 or 4 Urzas if you're playing the Thopter Sword combo, because that's part of the combo. Oh yeah, Rebuke is also really important too. I would play Rebuke. I would play 4 Rebuke over the Charm. I think the idea is they're gonna add support to the Phyrexian type. Yeah, I know that that's the idea. But right now, they haven't added support to the Phyrexian type, so it's just like the only thing that's actually happening is like Infect players just like finding out some hard truths. You know what I mean? They'll probably name Persist. I don't know, maybe not. How much better would Esper be with a Triumph? It would be like a degree better with a Triumph. Yeah, I don't do dono decks at the moment. It's really hard to give people like the individual attention like they would deserve for a dono deck these days, and I end up, you know, I have fun with a lot of them. There's some that I don't have like that much fun with, and I always feel bad saying, hey, I don't really want to play your deck, and I feel like I would say that more often than I did in the past, and I think it's just best for the stream in general if I retire the dono decks. But also, like, it's definitely true, like, if you do the deck text, like, take a look, like, there's always a chance I'll like it and end up playing your deck. I've even done that. What did I did that somewhat recently with the Wilderness Reclamation Thespian stage thing. They do name Persist, unfortunately. We have Rites in the yard, so... Yeah, they should have named Rites, right? Yeah, why didn't they name the Rites? Do you think the Esper Reanimator list without Grief, Solitude, Ephemerate is much worse than this one? I wouldn't say that it's much worse, but I would say that this is, you know, like a degree better. I think it was a fine name. I don't know. I probably would have named Rites personally, but I don't think Persist is the best card in the deck, so I don't hate it, especially if they have like another way to Meddling Mage. Yeah, then they just name Persist Rites, and I just can't reanimate to like kill some of these. But they named Solemnity. Solemnity? I think they meant to name Solitude. But why wouldn't they name Unburial Rites? And why would they missed a point of damage on the... No, opponent! No, you didn't read my gentleman's agreement. Maybe they have image for Archon? I mean, I have Emissary in my yard, not Archon. I'll just say, okay. I'll give them the chance to name Unburial Rites with Meddling Mage. I'll ask if they want to name something else. Okay, I'll give them like 30 more seconds and I'll win the game. Evo, thank you for Twitch Prime. Appreciate ya. Yeah, this just ends up being way better testing, you know, to like actually play the game without like the dumb. If you play Emissary, I'm dead. Alright, it sounds like they're just okay with the Alright, I know they're dead. I'm gonna ask them if they want to play as if they named rights or if they just want to concede. I'll give them the choice. At this point, it's kind of just BM since they got them 2 ways. No, yeah, I don't, because they named Persist. I feel like this might be too much help. I don't know. Like, I feel bad because this is just like a clear mistype, and then they like tried to correct it here. They should have named rights Solitude for sure. But, I mean, I don't want to wait too long because I got, you know, 1,100 of you to entertain. They say, I don't know, so I'm just gonna rinse the Emissary. No more dancing. Just end it. Blinky, thank you for the 5-pack. Oh, whoops, I named KK. This is all just elaborate bait. They're just gonna... Oh, they can't Solitude me, actually. Thank you for the 5-pack, Blinky. If you gotta get this up from Blinky, make sure to thank him. I feel like I was as fair as I could possibly be here. Yeah, protection from KK Slider. The image Emissary? We can kill the Emissary though, right? Like Prismatic Ending? So this buys them time, but I guess they could maybe Meddling Mage, Ending, and Teferi, and push if they have enough images. Beagle, thank you for the 18 months. Yeah, why male models indeed, huh? I had a friend of mine who was telling me that they were in this situation, this exact situation, and they had less cards in their library, so they were like, well, guess I lose. And then his human's opponent like looked at him shocked and said, okay. And then he realized he forgot about the phantasmal image trigger, where you can just target the image and it dies. Yeah, we have Teferi and Fatal Push and Prismatic Ending all answer the Emissary. And then we just have one here. Is the game a draw? No, it wouldn't be a draw. It'd be whoever decks first draws. But I just ending this. They lose the Emissary. So if they name one, they stop the Ephemerate. They do name one. And this is 1K where humans played 3 angels naming different things. And has to draw 2 Dismember to win, but the Reanimator just Teferi the pro creatures 1/1. Yeah. That's the thing, it's like the humans just can't beat the Emissary in play. And like the Teferi I guess I can't cast the Ephemerate. The Reanimator pilots like eventually just will draw their answers, and it's really hard for humans to beat that. Oh, this is so weird because. Okay, we'll just treat it like this one is naming Unburial Rites. Okay, no, never mind. We're done with the deals. No more deals. This game is pretty over. I should probably just attack. I don't know. They could draw stuff. All right, always remember this: if they've got like a disruptive creature in play and you're solituding, stack it so that you can exile the prelate. Then before the evoke trigger resolves, ephemerate. All right, 3 and 1. Let's get a prediction going. Okay, let's mulligan this. Mulligan this one too. I guess I'll keep this and put back. So we're on to play. Okay, go to 4. This hand's okay if we draw 1 land. I'm gonna keep. Yeah, I try to have nice basic land arts for the decks I stream. Sometimes I forget to. Is Scurrid Colony a good replacement if I don't have Jade Avenger? Sadly, there's no replacing Jade Avenger, I think. And there's no replacing this dead meme either, I think. This dead. This dead meme. Oh, dude, Mold to 5 against Blue Red is rough. Maybe you should bet no on the prediction chat. Just a suggestion. Oh, maybe you should bet yes. Maybe not. I'm not gonna Solitude the Ragavan right now, I think. So I bottomed 2 non-lands with my mulligan. So I'm pretty incentivized to not fetch in order to try to draw a land next turn. Ragavan's also definitely exiling a land. Oh, Solitude. But my life total is really relevant right now. Yeah, you are supposed to mulligan really aggressively with this deck. It took me a while to learn that, but yeah, you really can't afford to keep mediocre hands. This deck usually mulligans really well. I was even considering going to 4, but and maybe I should have. Just like 2 lands, Unmarked Grave, Persist is like just kind of always this that's always this like 4-card hand that you can have. I'm gonna play Teferi here because I would like the ability to like Mulldrifter Ephemerate. Bit of a pipe dream, maybe. Oh. Probably doesn't resolve. Do you think that with every build of Esper Ephemerate? Yeah, every build of Reanimator in Modern is, in my opinion, a deck that wants to mulligan aggressively. Don't main phase iteration here, chat. Do not main phase iteration in the spot. There's really no reason. You basically always hit with Ragavan first. So a untapped land will let us go Mulldrifter Ephemerate. Although they can, it's not that hard for them to just kill the Mulldrifter in response to Ephemerate, I guess. They milled over a Godless Shrine, which will maybe end up like working out the best for us. How have we done so far? I've been playing this deck a lot this week and liking it. I think I'm gonna play it in tomorrow's Modern Challenge. 3 and 1 on the day. Four color Urza Saga, Crooks of Snapcaster Insects, went 5-0. Well, it sounds terrible, unfortunately. But really fun. Alright, I'm really behind here. I'm gonna Ephemerate, I guess. I don't really know how my opponent can't have something here, but it's not getting that much better. Thinking evil. I'm playing the non-ephemerate version, just straight incorrect. This version's felt a lot better, but it's definitely going to be true that there are going to be metagames where you're going to want to play the Chalice of the Void version for sure. I'm not sure when you would want to play the Thoughtseize counterspell version, honestly. I haven't liked that one that much. Yeah, you also should not use the treasure for Thought Scour there, because you can use the treasure for Thought Scour at any point. So like immediately using the scour end of turn doesn't, like, you might end up wanting to use that mana for something else, and there's just no need to rush casting the Thought Scour. I can't imagine ever wanting to play a Kroxa Snapcaster Wrenn and 6 deck. That's also like, I don't know, it just sounds so loose to me. The Chalice one is when I was playing in the summer. I kind of lost all concept of seasons or time because I just sit in this room all day. But I've played a few different Chalice versions, both before Mending was printed and after. Yeah, I do want to see it. Oh, this isn't it. Rackless is kind of cool. Found it. 3 Red and 6, 2 Kroxa, 2 Snapcaster, 1 Tarmogoyf, 2 Expressive Iterations, 3 IOK, 3 Thoughtseize, 1 Assassin's Trophy, 2 Dranalock, 2 Kolaghan's Commands, 1 Terminate, 1 Unholy Heat, 1 Spellbomb, 3 Bobble, 1 Aether, 1 Nile Spellbomb, 1 Shadow Spear, 4 Saga. Oh man. What a pile. Looks really fun though, to be honest. You're in the hospital project? Best of luck to you, dude. Okay, opponent's got 4 cards in their hands. Maybe the believers will win after all. Yeah, I feel better, dude. The deck would probably be viable if Harkham's Astrolabe were legal. I mean, Solitude resolve last turn. Darksteel, thank you for the 2 months. Appreciate ya. But maybe they let it resolve because they had it on the Ragavan. How do you put Yorion Reanimator? Well, first you got to add 20 cards, but I'm really of the opinion that Reanimator is a really bad Yorion deck, since like you are very much a synergy based combo deck, and you like have you have some nut draws where you want to go like Unmarked Grave into Persist or Mending into Persist as often as possible, and just like, I don't think I'm supposed to Ephemerate here, go to 3 and then to Bolt. You're supposed to like try to maximize those draws, in my opinion. I think that minimizing them with Yorion is just not worth the payoff. Thanks again, Darksteel. They've got 2 cards drawing up to 3. 1 card after playing the Steam Vents. We've got a card 2. It's pretty good if we draw a reanimation spell, or if we draw a Mulldrifter, or maybe Solitude or Grief. Probably not Grief so much, but we will hardcast the Grief. I'll hold this to discard to Mending, I guess. What do you think of the Your Rhinos deck? I like it. I think it's good. I would recommend it. There's a lot of different ways to like play with the flex spots. You can play Nihiri, you can play Team Ascendancy, you can play like a bunch of Prismari commands. There's a lot of flex spots with the deck, but I think the list is pretty sound. Or like the idea is pretty sound. Like you have a higher ratio of Cascaders with the 12 in an 80 card deck compared to the 8 in a 60 card deck, and you have access to, and you draw like Footfalls less, and Yorion also helps you grind out in matchups where your opponent plays lock pieces, which is a pretty valuable thing. Alright, let's see if they found a counterspell. No counterspell. They might have a removal spell though, so I don't want to necessarily immediately cast Ephemerate. But I was just thinking, if I draw Teferi Time Raveler, then they don't counter the Teferi, and then we get to Ephemerate the Mulldrifter. They're the 2 lightning bolts. They haven't cast a single lightning bolt yet. Oh boy. Okay, I mean, I'm not going to shock myself and put myself dead to bolt. Just pass. They might even, like... I guess they won't bolt the Mulldrifter end of turn. Punish? No, there's 0% chance we were supposed to shock there. There's like I think there's a very good chance my opponent has a lightning bolt. It is yeah, I wouldn't shock there. I think if I knew about my opponent's spell pierce, I wouldn't have cast the Teferi, but no chance you shock there. You could have played a tap last turn. Oh yeah, punish for that. Yeah. Oh, I mean, I think holding it was correct because of mending. But you make a good point. So this was their draw this turn, so they still don't have a counter spell. So I think I'm just gonna main phase this. And I'll play this Courtyard so I can hardcast any top-decked Archons. Ephemerate, I'd rather than bolt the Mulldrifter. That's a good point. I guess I'll Ephemerate in their upkeep. Have I thought about Watery Reanimator with Salvaging and Seasoned Pyromancer? Salvaging isn't a good enabler for Reanimator. It's much better for Phoenix. I have played Watery Reanimator, though, with Seasoned Pyromancer, with Dragon Regis Channeler sometimes. I've done it, but... second Spell Pierce would be pretty bad. But I think the Mending is just so good, and Mulldrifter is so good, I'm not that interested in switching back. I did like the Smallpox Reanimator list I was playing back in the day, so... I guess it wasn't that long ago, but a little while ago. I like those lists a lot, so I might, if I wanted to look at a different style for Reanimator, I'd probably look there next. Maybe with a black splash for Culling Ritual, or green splash for Culling Ritual. I like that a lot. Yeah, Mulldrifter really has aged well. Did I say Jeskai Reanimator? If I did, I misspoke. Okay, so now Mending means I'm not likely to die to a burn spell here. Yeah, we can just hardcast this Archon. Remember when we mulled to 5 this game and my opponent played turn 1 Ragavan and hit me 2 times? We mulled to 5 this game. My opponent played a turn 1 Ragavan and hit me like 2 or maybe 3 times with it even. Can we get a Ragavan hit count? And now we're at 8, not dead to 2 bolts. Do you think Blue-Red Merc with like 4 Force, no Charm might be the way, lead into Tempo? What does Tempo mean here? I've been talking a lot about this, pretty sure it was thrice there. That might be the case. It might have been one from a Dash Ragavan, I can't remember. But it's like, in Modern, you cannot play a 1-mana creature and counter every removal spell that targets it. If that's like what you think of as Tempo, that's not a viable strategy. It's like, your counter spells are like, not going to be like in Legacy it's more of an option because you can like have Wasteland and Daze and Force of Will. It's so much harder to do in Modern with Counterspell, Archmage's Charm, Force of Negation. Main deck Blood Moon, I like that kind of. I see the new Mulldrifters. Yeah, I've seen them. I really like them. I'm not someone that is really into Secret Lairs, but I might buy that one. Good top deck. Yeah, I don't know how people like feel like Unmarked Grave is like this really bad top deck. You have Unburial Rites in the deck. My opponent has lost connection to the game. What are the odds that this is a salty disconnect, huh? Probably like the timing is kind of suspicious, but we shouldn't assume the worst, I guess. I guess we shouldn't assume the worst, but I will say that I'll feel bad for the doubters if your champion here ends up salty disconnecting and not finishing the match for you. And I'll feel a little extra bad too because I recommended that you doubt this game. Yeah, I'd say maybe 20% chance. Yeah, and then them being back here means I don't think that they're salting off. I think they just actually disconnected. Yeah, choose better champions, doubters. Yeah, but what if I could top deck Otherworldly Gaze? This is the channel to officially suggest playtesting Otherworldly Gaze, of course. The problem with Stony Silence is like if they're playing Lantern, they still get the Lantern ETB. This is way better against Relic and Spellbomb. I feel like Relic is maybe more likely though. It's kind of tough. I think I want to play one. What did you like about Otherworldly? I mean, the big thing is that it doesn't draw a card, it doesn't replace itself, and the card selection it offers I don't think is worth not having a card. But also, like, I've only played against it, and it's looked really bad a lot of the times I've played against it. I've had other people play test it, say it doesn't look good, but I haven't personally cast the card. Let's play one, I think. I'll see if, hold on. Wait, why do we have a Spectrum in the chat? Did the stream crash? Oh, you're right. I have cast Otherworldly Gaze off Ragavan. It was pretty good when I cast it off Ragavan. Oh yeah, I'm not playing a Modern Challenge. The record broker is broken. The record tracker is broken. It should probably be better tomorrow, but the record tracker is kind of like an enigmatic force, and nobody really knows how it works. It's a meme. It's a bad meme, Ghost. I just get all these flashbacks and I see it in the chat. Thoughts on main deck Chalice and Amulet? Probably not a big fan. So I'll put back Godless Shrine and then get basic Swamp, basic Plains. Because they did show us Blood Moon. Oh, I see. Thoughts on Spellbomb over Lantern, specifically just on Shadow. I think that Lantern is a lot better than Nile Spellbomb. Lantern is a lot better against Reanimator. It's a lot better with your Drown in the locks because you're able to like just get like one problematic card out of the graveyard with the Lantern, then draw a card and keep the cards in the yard for Drown in the lock. And yeah, I mean that's really I guess it, but I greatly prefer Lantern to Spellbomb. I think that those two upsides overbear the upside of being able to they forced this. That's kind of a bummer. Because they kind of want to surveil into a land because they bottom two cards. Yeah, I think that outweighs the what am I saying? That outweighs the ability to draw a card off Spellbomb when you exile their graveyard. Especially because like I don't like to bring in Spellbomb against Murktide Regent. I don't like to bring in Spellbomb in like in a lot of these kinds of matchups. So I end up finding that like it just ends up not being like worth a card in those matchups. You know what I mean? Oh, they have Torp Warp in their deck. It's kind of scary. Because not only does that stop Archon, I guess I should have got Island here. But not only does that stop Archon, stops my Solitudes. Spirit Swing Force come back in blue, white, blue, red. Yeah, I mean, I think it's just a really good example or a good teaching moment that like we're living in a really cyclical modern format where things are, especially answers. There's so many good answers in modern right now that things are ebbing and flow out of favor. You know, it especially like coming when I was first getting into modern, there weren't that many good answers in the format. There were some, but it's like you had Lightning Bolt, you had Remand, you had Mana Leak. Logic Knot was a sleeper for a long time. Path to Exile was like a modern staple. Keck W. Great. This isn't the best draw by a lot. But there weren't like that many good interactive spells. There was like a really distinct lack of good interaction in the modern format. And now I feel like the answers have like really, really caught up. Mara's push. Yeah, I'm talking like but Fatal Push, like I think people forget that Push has not been in the format forever. Push was like printed after Splinter Twin was banned, you know what I mean? Long time ago. We get to attack with the Archon. All right, good game to be a believer. Even though we drew really well that match. I've been really liking this deck. And like it used to be like you just didn't have good interaction for a lot of strategies as a fair deck, but now you kind of do. I haven't seen this Ristic Study art. Okay, we're gonna play one more. We're gonna run it back. I've been liking the list. And then let's get a 4-1 or better prediction going.